guys, it's Britt, and today's video is a little bit different than my normal videos. So today I'm going to be doing kind of like relationship questions that you were always scared to ask. You know, like some things about relationships that no one really knows the answer to. No one really like breaks it down for you. Well, I'm here to break it all down for you so you know how to deal with these things. So basically, I came up with a list of some things that I came up with / like things that I've heard people say before, like my friends or just like other people in general think these things or have had these things happen to them. I know personally I've had some of these things happen to me, but this video isn't really about me and my relationships. This is more of like an advice video for like you guys who might have some questions you need answers to. So of course I decided to make this a mukbang video, and this is a Chipotle video. So I got my Chipotle in the bag. Literally just got it, so it should still be hot. And all I got was a bowl. Whenever I get a bowl, I always get the same thing. I get sofritas with white rice, black beans, and red salsa and green salsa. So that's what this is. It's spilled a little bit, but so it looks weird, but it's really good. So that's kind of like what my food looks like. So I'm gonna be eating this while I answer some of these questions. First, let me take a bite and see how it is, let you guys know if it's good or not. I'm happy that it's hot. You know, the last time I had Chipotle, it was a little on the cooler side. So let's see. It's pretty good. I feel like something's missing, but I guess it's not missing. I don't know. It just looks different from last time I got it. But anyways, let's get into the questions. The first one is, I'm single. Why does no one want me? Now, I've heard this from like some of my friends who have been single for a long time, and they feel like no one wants them. Which, like, personally, I feel like if there aren't really any guys that are, or like any people that you're into that are talking to you, I don't really think it's like the person's fault. Like if no one wants me, I don't think it's my fault that no one wants me. I think that like there are certain things that will make other people attracted to you. So if you are the type to kind of just like stay in your room, stay to yourself and be alone, if you're not interacting with other people or meeting new people, there's a lot lower chance of you finding someone, you know? And I think that being yourself is also important, because if you are trying to be like the next girl, trying to be like everyone else, you know, the guy that you're interested in is just gonna see like duplicates of the same type of thing, you know, that he wants someone different. So you can't really expect to see someone wanting you if you're just gonna act like every other person. If you're not acting like every other person and you're still being yourself and still like you want to be with someone but no one is really interested, I think that, believe it or not, the best tip to me is to just like not think about it. Because I found that people tend to overstress it. They're like, oh my goodness, it's been this many months or this many weeks and I'm still single. Like, if that is like the most important thing to you, honestly, you're not going to be happy, because I feel like you shouldn't really dwell on it or think about it too much. I think the most important thing is to just focus on yourself, focus on your growth, and just grind, be your best, because I feel like it's when you're so focused on yourself, you're having good self-care, you're confident in yourself, that's when like guys are actually attracted to you. And another thing is that there's a chance like a guy could be interested in you, but he just might not say anything. Because that happened to me. Like you can be friends with a guy for the longest, or like just like have an acquaintance, and then it's not until like a long time later that you find out that they actually like you. Or there's some guys that will actually like you but they'll never say it. So like don't think that no one really likes you. It's not even that. It's more just like the guy might not feel comfortable at the time saying it to you, or he might be intimidated by you and feel like he doesn't want to get rejected. So I think if anything, it's okay to ask the guy like, hey, like, do you like me? Or like, what's up, how do you feel, type of thing. Like, I think that's okay. So let me take a bite before I say the next one. So the next one is, I'm in a relationship but I'm insecure. That's a big one because a lot of guys don't want to be with insecure girls. Like they just don't want that. And I feel like they shouldn't want that, because if you're a girl, you don't want to be with a guy that's like constantly looking at himself in the mirror, constantly complaining about how he looks. So like you don't want to complain about how you look all the time. Like if you feel a certain way, like if you feel like you're not really feeling yourself, all you have to do is fix yourself up. You don't gotta tell nobody what you're doing. You don't have to say, oh, like I'm gonna start working out 3 times a week starting next week, or oh, I'm gonna start eating healthier, I'm gonna start drinking more water. You don't have to say, you just do it, you know, just surprise them, just let them be shocked, you know. So I think in a relationship, being confident in yourself is super important, because if you're not confident in yourself, like the guy will make you feel good about yourself, but it's not his job, you know what I mean? Like he's supposed to make you feel good, but like he's not supposed to be your source of feeling good, you know? Like you have to feel that for yourself. If you don't feel it for yourself, it will definitely affect the relationship. It will, and I know that from experience. It will affect the relationship. It kind of brings a strain on it, you know, because the guy wants you to feel good about yourself, but he's going to get tired of having to be the one to make you feel good. He's like, come on, girl, just like, hello. Anyways, next one. Let me take a bite before I say the next one. The next one is, I don't trust my boyfriend. I think he's talking to other girls. That is a huge one, because there's just so many like sneaky little guys out here just like thinking they can do whatever they want. I think it's important to not be like overprotective. I think there's a limit to the checking the phone, asking the questions type of thing. I'm more of the type of girl to kind of just lay back. I don't really like to be all up in my man's business. I feel like ultimately that type of situation is based on trust, because I think that if you trust your guy, you really don't have to worry about stuff like that. But I mean, if he's done something in the past that has made you kind of suspicious, then it makes sense for you to like feel some type of way. But the number one thing I would say is, if you think that he's doing something, make sure you have the facts before you confront him about it, because it's going to look really embarrassing if you feel like he's doing this and that and it turns out his friend was just his cousin. But okay, so I say like have the facts, but also don't be stupid. Okay, so like if he goes to the movies with another girl that you don't know and he says, oh, it's his cousin, like you need to like get proof that it was his cousin. You need to talk to that cousin, make sure everything is good, because you know there's a chance that he could be lying to you. So it's kind of like that in between. It's like you can't overthink it, but you also have to like know all the details. So I think it's kind of hard in that regard, but it's definitely possible to do. I think personally in relationships that I've been in and that I'm in, I think that it's kind of taken time for me to learn how to get over that, because I'm kind of like overprotective, so I get jealous if he's talking to other girls or things like that. But I think it comes down to trust, you know, like if you trust your man, you really shouldn't have to worry about anything. The next one is, why is every guy the same? Now, this is a big one also, because this kind of goes back to, not really, this doesn't really go back to I'm single, why does no one want me, but it does in a way, because a lot of girls are single because guys leave them in the friend zone, or guys just make it a situationship, and it's like you're not really making any progress, you know, like you're kind of just like, you're basically a girlfriend but without the title type of thing. Or you feel like you're stuck in the friend zone and you want to get out of that, but he's just like not moving, he's not budging. So I think that that's kind of what I mean when I say, why is every guy the same? I kind of mean like when you're kind of stuck in that place, but also I mean if every guy's the same, if every guy you've been with has cheated or just been dishonest, disloyal. So I think that I've honestly felt that way before. Like I have felt like every guy's the same, and it's kind of sad. And you know, like even some guys just want your goods, you know what I mean? And they don't really care about you as a person, they just want what you got and then they dip. So I think that it's easy to come up with that mindset of every single guy is the same. It's very easy to think that. But I think just looking at other people's relationships has made me realize that not every guy is the same. I think it kind of just depends on like your location. Not really your location. It's like every guy is different in their own way, but a lot of them just have the same bad habits. But I think you shouldn't fall into the mindset of every guy is the same, because it's usually when you start thinking like that that you don't really get relationships that work out, because you have that expectation that the same thing is going to happen again. But I also think if you do encounter the same type of situation, then you have to remember that situation so you don't put yourself in that situation again. For example, if your last man was out super late at night and you found out later on that he was cheating on you or sleeping at another girl's house or something like that, then like if the next guy you're with is out late all the time again, you know, you can't really just be like, oh, it's fine, he's different, you know? It's just like if you see the same signs, you should know, like, come on, gotta cut it off or just like do something. I don't know. So basically my tip for that is just like pay attention to patterns, but don't have the mindset of every guy's the same, because if you do have that mindset, that's kind of gonna put you into that cycle. That's gonna put you into that pattern of like the same thing happening, because it's like you expect it to happen. Oh, I'm not even eating. The next one is, I did everything for him, but he's still giving his heart / attention to someone else. This one is like close to home. It's a very painful thing to experience, and I have a lot of friends that have experienced this too. It's like you go out of your way for like a man that you care about, you know, like you get them gifts, you spend time with them, you think about them, you compliment them, you do everything for them. And you're like, all right, I've done all this stuff for you, so you see how much I love you, how much I care about you. And then like you are over here with some other girl giving her the same love and attention that I wanted from you that I didn't get from you, you know? So I think the main thing that hurts the most about that is that like you see someone else getting what you were supposed to have. So that really sucks. But it's like ultimately, I feel like I'm a giver. I like to give to people. So I don't ever think it's like a bad thing if I'm giving a lot to someone I care about, because that's just me showing how I feel. But then it's like the person, honestly, the person will always remember what you did for them, even if they act like they hate you, don't know you, don't remember you. Like, they will always remember like the things that you do for them, even if it's like a small thing. So it's like, while they're giving the other person all those things that you were supposed to have, they might be thinking about you in the back of their mind. But like, I don't think it makes you less of a person if he like goes for someone else. You honestly just have to know your worth. That's what it really comes down to. Like, you can't think that you're any less than of a person just because of that situation. So it's really a process that takes time. There's not much I can really say about it. It's just like, it does take time to heal from that, but it's possible, and you just have to like know your worth and just build up your confidence again. And then just like, all the attention you put on him, put it on yourself, you know, spoil yourself instead of spoiling him. The next one is, I don't like his parents. He doesn't like my parents. My parents don't like him. His parents don't like me. So it's kind of like all four of those type of situations. And I think for that, it's kind of a sticky one. It's like, if you really want to be with this person, you really have to like get along with their family. Because I mean, if marriage is your goal, if you're trying to be with this person for your life, you're gonna have to be around their family, believe it or not. I think that first impressions is important. I think it's important to just try to be friendly with the family, even if you're uncomfortable. I think that's really important. Just try to understand their values, their culture, what they do, and just like get to know them, I think is really important. I think it's just important to like be respectful. That's like really important, because like, I think like the smallest little thing can like mess up everything. Like, you just do one thing that just throws them off and they're like, oh. So yes, be respectful. Make sure you say sorry if you do something wrong. Like, let's say you accidentally like say something that you shouldn't say around the parents or the family. Like, make sure you apologize if you're wrong. Make sure that you acknowledge them when you're around them. So like, if you're at his house or something and his mom is around, make sure you say, hello, how are you? Like, just like acknowledge the fact that she's there. I've made that mistake before where I just kind of didn't acknowledge the mother, and that kind of like, it's like, it's not intentional, but you kind of just have to like be aware when you're not aware, you know. You kind of just have to like pick up on things. There's just certain social things that you kind of have to know how to do. So I think just being respectful and open to the family is kind of a good way to be on good terms with them. But I think if you're not on good terms with them, don't just avoid them, because that actually makes things worse. That grows the tension. That makes things a lot worse. So if you do have a problem with a family member, I would suggest just once again being respectful. And if you really have to, I think you should just set aside a time to just like speak to them directly and deal with whatever issues you have, once again in a respectful way. I say respectful so much because like, if you don't do it in a respectful way, there's a chance that like their family can just hate you forever, and it's like really something you want to avoid. And plus, if they are family and they are older than you, then you really should respect them, because, you know, it's like you just should. So yeah, that's what I have to say to that. If you feel like the family doesn't like you, I think it's important to just like be yourself still, and don't really show hate back towards them. I think that's not really necessary. So the next one is, I did something that I shouldn't have done, and I don't know if I should tell him. Now, that could be cheating. That could be, you know, going on a dating app. That could be lying about where you are. That could be going to a party or club without him and something went down. I don't know, you know, we make mistakes sometimes. I honestly think it's like it's like wishy-washy with me. I think like there are certain things that I think like your guy doesn't need to know. But there are, I think if it's like something that is directly affecting him, like if it's something that you did that is hurtful to him, you should definitely tell him, because you just don't want that to come to light. If he finds out by someone else other than you, you know he's about to be like really upset, and that's gonna just make things so much worse. And I don't know, I just think that you really do have to be accountable and admit when you're wrong. Say sorry and actually mean it. Don't just say like, oh yeah, my bad. Like, no. Like, just be like, babe, I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't have done that, and I wasn't thinking, and I hope you'll forgive me. I won't do that ever again. Like, do like something like that where like your partner can actually trust that you are genuine and that you're not going to make the same mistake again. I think if it's something minor, I'm trying to think of an example of something minor. I don't know, like, I guess like if you have a guy friend that you absolutely don't have feelings for, and your boyfriend knows the guy friend, then I think like if you go out with him, it should, I don't know, I think there's kind of a fine line between what's acceptable and what's not. But I feel like if you have to question, should I tell him, then you probably should tell him. Fleeting. The next one is, I feel like I can't express my feelings when it comes to intimacy. So this kind of is like about if you feel like you're not satisfied with the level of intimacy, or let's say you feel like there are certain things you want to try but you're scared to ask because you don't know if he'll like it, or maybe you feel like he's doing too much and you feel like you need a break, or you just don't want to do certain things anymore, you know? There's like so many more different types of things that it could be, but I think what's important is to just like see his limit, like see like what he's comfortable with, and then you can compare that with what you're comfortable with. So then like once you kind of, what am I trying to say? Once you like know like where he's at with everything, how he feels about like intimacy with you, then you can kind of like compare that with how you feel. So maybe you can compromise and say like, hey, like for example, if you feel like he's doing too much, you could be like, hey, like maybe like before we do whatever, we can just like do something else, like another activity. And then if that activity takes up the whole time, you don't even have time to do anything else. So like, I don't know, you kind of honestly have to be creative with it. But if there's something you don't like he's not really gonna stop unless if you tell him, you know, like no one can read your mind as much as you think you can. I know how my sister feels for the most part just by looking at her, but you can't really expect that from your partner just because you're around them all the time. Even though sometimes it's true, like if you're around them enough, like they can tell if something is wrong. But regardless, just let them know. If you don't feel comfortable with something, please just let them know, and you guys can talk it out. Excuse me, I know that there have been some situations where like the guy wanted something, the girl didn't feel like doing that, and then he ended up leaving and finding someone else. But girl, if he leaves you just because there's something that you don't like in the relationship, then he can go. He was never meant for you, you know? Like, I feel like if the guy really loves you, he's gonna compromise. And honestly, I feel like even for me, like sometimes it's like it's okay to try new things. Like maybe you weren't expecting to like something, or you never were open to it before, but you know, if you try it, you might actually like it. And I honestly think being creative with how you're intimate is important too. Like not to just focus on physical intimacy, but to focus on like, you know, like getting to know their soul, getting to know what they like, getting to know how they think and what they believe in. That's super important. You know, I think that's really important if you can really bond with your guy and just like be able to talk to him about absolutely anything. That's super important. And I feel like in a lot of relationships there are certain things that, you know, the guy and the girl don't talk about, but it's like if you can talk about literally anything in your relationship, then your relationship is bomb. So the last thing is, I love him, but there's one major thing I have a problem with / we don't agree with. Now that could be your religion, that could be maybe his parents are disrespectful to you, maybe that's his past. I don't know, it could be like multiple things. Let's say like you want to wait until marriage, or you're just not ready for, you know, the big thing to happen, but he's just like pressuring you. So that's another like major thing that could be like you and him don't agree. Maybe he wants to move to a separate school, but you want to go to the same school as him. Or maybe he feels like he's going to another state, but you don't want a long distance relationship. You know, it's like so many different things. Or maybe he wants an open relationship, who knows. But I think that for the relationship to work, you kind of do have to do some sort of compromise. Ultimately, there has to be some sort of compromise throughout the relationship, but especially if there's one major issue. If this issue affects your faith, if it affects your health, if it affects your well-being, you might need to break up with the person, honestly. Because like, if you're doing long distance and you can't sleep at night because you miss him so much, or you're worried about him doing something he shouldn't do, then, you know, maybe you should be with someone who's actually closer to you, who's around you. You know what I mean? So that's a sticky one, but I think that ultimately, I don't really remember what I was saying. I was interrupted. But I guess like, I think ultimately if you love the person, you will get through thick and thin. So I think if there's one thing you really don't agree on, you really do have to talk to your significant other about it. Like, you have to. If you don't, then your problem is never really going to be resolved. I know like in some relationships there's like one issue that like you're kind of scared to talk about with your partner because you feel like it could mess up your relationship, or you feel like your relationship might get ruined if you talk about that one thing. But honestly, it's worth talking about. Like, you really do have to just deal with it if you want to get further in your relationship. Of course, there's more that I could have talked about in this video, but that was just like a little snippet. If you want to see a part 2, let me know. If you have any questions you want me to answer, just, you know, contact me, leave it in the comments. You can go to our Instagram @The and DM us some questions. And yeah, that's about it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.